So hello there. So in this video I'd like to answer two very interesting questions. I'd like to find out, well I already know, but I'd like to show you the longevity of a cheap Chinese fountain pen, a Jinhao. And I'd also like to show you the long-term effects of platinum carbon based ink on a fountain pen. So I have owned this Jinhao fountain pen for a whole year. And actually more than a year. And I haven't stopped using it since the day I got it. I think probably for the first 6 months I used it almost every single day. And then after that I think I used it at least a few times a week. So it's had some pretty heavy use for a cheap pen. The nib was starting to look a bit on the dirty side though. The platinum carbon ink tends to stick to the nib after it dries a little bit. And I did notice that over the course of the year, the flow rate of the ink did decrease slightly. Not enough to stop the pen from working, but just enough to be slightly annoying on certain types of paper. Like you really want to make sure that your paper is nice and absorbent, otherwise the ink wasn't flowing out at a rate that I would find acceptable. There was, occasional skipping. Yes, and anyway, for that whole year I used the platinum carbon ink, and I use nothing else. So I haven't used this pen for a week so far. Oh no, it's not working. I was sure there was still a tiny bit of ink in there. Is there? No, it's empty. Okay. Now, oh yes, before I put ink in this, I'd like to talk about how durable the build of this pen is. Just recently, I was, getting all excited to use this pen. I was going, oh yeah, it's time to use this pen. And I pulled on the pen, kind of like in a violent and a slight twist motion. I gave it a slight kind of bend like this as I was pulling it open. It's like, ah! And I seem to have slightly broken where the plastic thread here, attaches to the pen grip. There's a slight crack that's formed there. It's made out of pretty thin plastic, that part. But yet again, that was also a rather violent pen opening experience, so I can't entirely blame the pen for failing. And the pen did only cost me, was it like $2.50 or something. But I do believe if this was a genuine Lamy Safari, it would not have failed. So now each time when I screw the pen shut, you can accidentally tighten it more than you should, because the thread stretches down from the pen grip. Now back to the subject of platinum carbon ink. One thing I find that this carbon ink does is it makes things pretty dirty. It's a pretty dirty ink. So I would recommend constant maintenance with this ink. But anyway, I did go against my own advice and I did no maintenance at all for a whole year. The only thing I basically did was that occasionally, if I hadn't used a pen for I think it was a few occasions where I didn't use a pen for maybe 2 weeks and I took it out and it wasn't going. So I either put a tiny bit of water on the nib or I pushed the pen down like this under a running tap to spread the tines apart, and water ran through the tines and that seemed to clear whatever blockage it had, and then it worked perfectly again. Now you're probably, how long will this guy continue to ramble on about a pen without ink in it? Well, that is a very good question. I was wondering that myself. It's a bit of ink protection, an anti-fouling glove protector, because I don't want to foul up my table with this ink. I've got another video coming soon about graphics tablets. So let's see if we can fill this up. Yep. It's not working. I have used that bottle quite extensively. There's not enough ink in the bottle, I don't think, to fill up the... Is it working? No. But have no fear, because the platinum carbon ink has a very interesting feature that you can use when the ink is too low to fill it up. See, there's a little extra reservoir here. It's like a little plastic funnel in the top that they've included in the bottle. And what you do is that you close the lid, you turn the bottle upside down, give a bit of a shake, and hopefully that funnel will fill up full of ink, and then you can turn the bottle the other way around, and we should now have giant ink bubble. No. Up there it goes. Now we should have a funnel full of ink that I can put my pen into and fill it up. Okay, here we go. I do a second pass. Yep, it's full of ink. That's a inky experience, that is. Hello. So after a year of platinum carbon ink, this pen still works rather well. I just need to put a bit of super glue in there to fix up that crack, you know. So one thing I would not do with platinum carbon ink is leave it in a fountain pen for more than a couple of weeks at a time, because otherwise you will find it pretty difficult to get it going again. Of course, depending on the heat and humidity of your environment. I think that's all I basically had to say. This has just been a little update on a cheap fountain pen that I bought for $2.50 that I really have gotten my money's worth out of, I think. For some reason the platinum carbon ink seems to get inside pen cap as well occasionally. It can make your fountain pen pretty dirty if you don't, you know, keep your eye on it. Grimy carbon ink. Anyway, thank you for watching. I have said basically all I wanted to say. I am now going to fix this fountain pen with some super glue, which I should have done before I put ink in it, but I'll just, I don't know, do that, I guess. And then, because super glue always goes off really quickly, I will then use the rest of the bottle to reassemble this emu egg. Has become broken for some reason. I don't want to talk about it. Bye. Does it go together like this? Maybe. Like that. Ha! I have made an egg. And I fixed this pen as well. Look at that. Oh yeah. So nice and tight. Beautiful. Man, that carbon ink really kind of works its way into the plastic. It's hard to get out. Anyway,